David here with Figboot on Pens. Today I have for you a recently released fountain pen from Graf on Faber Castell. That pen is the Anello in rose gold. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of the Graf on Faber Castell Anello rose gold, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about the pen. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to Faber Castell for providing this pen for review. Graf von Faber-Castell is a brand which was launched in 1993 and is the luxury marquee of Faber-Castell, a company which has history dating back to 1761. So they've been in business for almost 260 years, which is pretty amazing. I won't go into it here, but the company has some interesting history. If you'd care to hear more about it, I'd recommend checking out my review of the Faber-Castell Loom, where I discuss it in more detail. The pen arrives in this box. Inside here, we have a very nice wood box. The bottom is lined in felt, and there's a nice beveled edge around the edge of the lid. I know that for the most part, pen boxes are disposable, but this one is significantly nicer than a standard box. Inside, there is a use and care guide in multiple languages, and then there is this very nice branded pouch. And inside this pouch, we have a pen. This is the Graf von Faber-Castell Anello in the rose gold finish. There are actually two other versions of this pen, one with black resin and a platinum plated trim, and the other with an ivory resin and the same platinum plated trim. Anello is actually the Italian word for ring. The distinct feature of this pen being the 4 evenly spaced rings on the barrel. And as you probably deduced from the name of this pen, all of the trim on this one is plated in rose gold, which I feel looks very nice. In regard to my personal taste, I typically prefer silver or platinum trim over that of gold, but I feel that this rose gold is an exception to that. I care for this look much better than if it was standard gold plating. Let's start by taking a look at the cap. The top of the cap is concave and encircled by a grooved edge, similar to the grooves you'd find on a coin. The end of the cap is flared, which is a distinct look that I care for. It provides a bit of illusion that this pen is thicker than it really is. While it does have a bit of heft, it's not the thickest of pens. Below those grooves can be found the Graf von Faber-Castell shield logo, and then right below that is the clip. It has a unique ski slope design, which I feel fits in well with the aesthetics of this pen. The clip is hinged, and the tension on this spring is not overly tight, so it really operates easily. The cap is straight, and then at the end there is an engraved ring to kind of invoke the idea of a cap band. And on this pseudo band, it is engraved Graf von Faber-Castell on one side and Made in Germany on the other. There is a small step down to the barrel, which is straight and is comprised of alternating black resin and rose gold plated bands, until you reach the end of the barrel, which has a small step down which is used as part of the posting mechanism. The edge of the end is grooved, matching the edge on the cap, and the end of the barrel is rounded. The cap twists off. The threads are fairly short, so you really only need to twist the cap about 3/4 of a rotation before it will disengage. It's nice how quickly you can remove the cap. Actually, when I first removed this cap, it was a bit surprising how quick it could be done. Once you have removed this cap, what we have here is a very sharp looking two-toned 18 karat gold nib. I like that the gold aspect of this nib matches the rose gold color of the rest of the pen. I think it would have looked out of place if it was the standard gold color. This nib is available in extra fine, fine, medium, broad, oblique medium, and oblique broad. This nib is about the size of a number 5 nib. It's significantly smaller than a number 6. The Graf von Faber-Castell logo is stamped on the nib, and I'm really liking the vertical lines here as well. They give the nib a bit of character. And here's a look at the plastic feed. Looking at the pen from the side, I like how the shoulders of this nib wrap around the feed a bit more than usual. In regard to this nib, as with the majority of Faber-Castell nibs I've tested, this one is outstanding. This medium is very smooth. It's one of those nibs where when you give it to someone to use for the very first time, their visceral reaction is just to let out a ooh. It just really provides immediate joy. There is a subtle flare at the end of the metal rose gold plated section, which transitions to the narrow threads and then a small step up to the barrel. The section is long enough to accommodate a variety of grip styles. It does have a couple of things working against it in regard to my personal preferences, however. It is a bit on the thin side, so I feel I need to kind of pinch a little bit more in order to maintain a decent grip. And in regard to maintaining that grip, there are a couple of challenges. I find this section to be rather slick when it's clean, but I also find that just about every part of this pen is susceptible to fingerprints, smudges, and oils from your hands, which this can lead to a very slick section. Now, I wouldn't categorize myself as having overly oily hands, but I find myself having to wipe down this pen on a regular basis. Once you're holding on to it securely, I do find the Anello to be plenty long enough to use unposted. While the cap doesn't post very deeply, it is very secure, but I find it adds a significant amount of length to the pen, and with this metal cap, I feel it really backweights the pen and throws off the balance, so I prefer to use this pen unposted. This is a cartridge converter pen. It accepts standard international cartridges, and a branded Faber-Castell converter is provided. Now, this has nothing to do with the performance of the pen, but in order to remove the barrel and put it back on, it takes over 10 full rotations each time. So, I'm all for keeping the section and barrel securely together, but 10 rotations seem like a bit excessive. Just an observation. For me, the Anello has a bunch of pluses and minuses. On the plus side, I really like the sleek looks, and the performance is superb. And on the downside, as I mentioned, just about all of the surfaces of this pen are susceptible to retaining oils from your hand, so you'll find yourself cleaning the exterior of this pen on a regular basis. Overall, though, I very much enjoy using this pen. For me, the superior writing experience the Anello provides outweighs the minor annoyance of having to wipe down the pen more than you would have to do otherwise. The Graf von Faber-Castell Anello is available from a number of retailers. While the prices can vary, the lowest I have seen it new is just over $500. The black and ivory versions of the Anello are about $100 less expensive, coming in at just under $400. Now, I don't think that either of these price points are unreasonable for this pen, and for just under $400 to be able to have this pen in either the black or the ivory with the platinum plated trim, I think is a very good value proposition. Thanks again. Go out to Faber-Castell for providing this pen for review. Now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Graf von Faber-Castell Anello Rose Gold. Here it is with a Mont Blanc 146. Here it is with a Pilot Custom 823. And then finally, something relatively new. Here is a Platinum 3776 Carnelian. And in regard to a few other pens, here it is with a Lamy Stainless Steel 2000. Here it is with a Lamy All-Star. And then one other thing, if you noticed my last video, or if you haven't seen my last video, this is a pen, a custom pen from the Carolina Pen Company. If you're interested in seeing how this pen was created, and how this resin was created, you might want to check out my last video where I sit down with Jonathan Brooks and we create this custom resin as well as the resin for one other pen and actually turn them into some pens. I think it was a very interesting video that I was really happy with the way it turned out. But this is the Charleston model, and that's what it looks like in comparison to the Faber-Castell. In regard to some uncapped comparisons, here it is with the Mont Blanc 146. Then here it is with the Pilot Custom 823. And then here it is with the Platinum 3776. So here we go with the writing sample for the Graf von Faber-Castell and this is the Anello, and this is in the rose gold finish. This is a medium 18 karat gold nib, and the ink that I'm using today is Graf von Faber-Castell Carbon Black. This is what the ink looks like. It's a nice solid black. In comparison to a couple other blacks, I find it to be a bit deeper than the Mont Blanc Mystery Black, and even deeper than the Sailor Kiwaguru. But I find it to be very nice. And this is what the bottle looks like. I like the Faber-Castell bottles. It's 75 milliliters. They're very kind of bottom heavy, but it has a wide opening and you can get just about any pen in here, so it's nice. In regard to the rest of the writing sample, as I mentioned previously, this nib is outstanding. This medium nib is fairly smooth. It has a touch of feedback. It sings just a little bit, but you can get a lot of line variation out of there. I find that the ink flow on here is decent. In regard to reverse writing, I find it is a little bit sharp, and in regard to fast writing for the ink flow, it has no problems in keeping up whatsoever. So there we have the Graf von Faber-Castell Anello in the rose gold finish. This is something that I've really grown to enjoy the more and more I've used it, especially with this magnificent nib. The nib has really won me over, and that it helps me kind of ignore the fact I have to wipe down the pen a little bit more than normal. I do like the sleek looks, and even though it's a thinner pen than I typically use, it's something I've really enjoyed. So I hope you enjoyed taking a look at it. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.